Hello, welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining. For those of you who are connecting now, this is a series of lives that I'll be doing regularly every day until the 11:11, and every day I will have someone different on. So today we have Neil from Portal to Ascension. Hi guys, welcome. Let me know how you've been and where you're from and how this in. Hi Neil.
Hey, Althea, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too, eh? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Colombia still.
Okay, nice. Okay, amazing. So
Yeah.
nice warm weather.
Oh, I'm loving it here. I'm in a place called Medellin, which is known as the city of eternal spring. So, like, I guess it's like 22 to 28 degrees all year round.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
really lovely. And it's like stable temperature.
Oh, yeah. And it rains for like 2 hours, and then it's sunny the rest of the day. So I love it here.
That's so nice. How long have
hmm
you been there for?
3 months. I have 3 more months. I can actually go from here to Conscious Life Expo.
Oh, so I'll see you there directly then.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, guys, so this is Neil. He spoke at the last Galactic Conference and he's talking at this one as well. Do you just want to quickly maybe introduce yourself for those of,
Yeah.
that maybe are not familiar with you and your work and what you do?
Sure. So, hello, everybody. My organization, again, my name's Neil, and my organization is called Portal to Ascension. I started it well, I guess I'll start when I first woke up to this awareness. In 2001, I was 18 years old, and I'd been raised Hindu. So but I pretty much didn't follow any of the rites and rituals. I did what my parents told me, but I didn't like have a firm belief in like what I was doing. It was just kind of like a community oriented thing, going to temple. But I started seeing in 2001 a lot of similarities with other religions, with Christianity, specifically Krishna and Jesus, Yeshua. And so that started making me think, well, if these two religions, polytheism, even though Hinduism technically isn't polytheistic, and monotheism with Christianity had a lot of similarities, and I was told that they grew independently from each other. What is the real truth here? Is there a root of all religion? Is there a story that all stories came from? And that was my original search in 2001. And as I started looking down for that, that was just simply what it was. Like, what is the root of it all? What is the original story, right? And then all of this stuff that I'm into came from that. First it was ancient history, of course, and lucky for me, I quickly found the ET connection to ancient history. And then looking deeper into the scriptures, I found the quantum physics information that was embedded in art, embedded in deep metaphysical, mythological stories. For example, a spider and a spider web in ancient mythology stories refers to the creation of the fractalization of sacred geometry from the original source. I was connecting all those dots, and so that took me down a rabbit hole for a good 8 years. Hardcore conspiracy theorist, swine flu activist. I was like, I had a mask and everything. Like when this bird flu came out, hardcore like Alex Jones listener. And then 2008, I had a spiritual awakening. Even though I was into all the spiritual information, I was at an open mic. First time I ever performed poetry. Someone was on stage and they performed a song called My Name is Love. And I was in a really dark space because I really thought that we were screwed. I believed in depopulation agenda, that they were going to take us out. And then I switched August of 2008, the same year the stock market crashed, the same year as I lost my job as a financial analyst. And I realized I stopped thinking that there are ignorant people in the world and that there are people that are not enlightened, and I started seeing that everybody is playing their role perfectly, including the ones who chose to incarnate to be what we now dub as ignorant. And so I started having respect and reverence for those that are in power and that have controlled us, rather than started hating them. And that was the same month Portal to Ascension was born. And I had a dream because I already had a group for 2 years, but it wasn't called Portal to Ascension. And I changed the name to Portal to Ascension. My first ever event was 2008. It was Hypno Creativity. It was a hypnosis event with binaural beats. And since then, I've done over 4,000 events. I have an online university where we do around 70 events a year. We do live conferences as well. And so that's what what I cultivate and curate. But beyond that, I have my own passions, things that I'm interested in speaking on. And so I do that as well. I go to different conferences and speak.
Amazing. Yeah, Neil's literally one of the OGs because I remember when I started down this journey and this road, your website was already up there, because I started going public with my ascension and awakening process. Like my process started from when I was young, but I only really went public and online around 2017.
Mm.
And your website was already up and running and there were events and things. And at the time, there weren't really a lot of spiritual kind of like portals, where you could like there
Mhm.
were people that was doing work here and there, but not places where you could go like, oh, okay, there's a workshop. Okay, I want to study
Yeah.
this. Okay, I want to see that. So, yeah. So guys, if you don't know about Portal to Ascension, you're probably living under a rock within the spiritual community. Check it out. And yeah, so Neil came to talk on the 8-8 at the Galactic Conference, and he had like a really, really interesting talk. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about what you would like to bring for this
Yeah.
event on Tuesday?
Yep. I'm really excited because I have a lot of presentations, but I haven't like created a new one for a couple of years. And so this one I literally just finished creating a week ago, and it's called From Ancient Temples to Quantum Consciousness.
Wow.
And the whole thing is like what I really like to do is I'm not here to preach what my phrase is. I'm not here to preach to the choir, even though the choir is welcome. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, so I'm here to really like allow the linear information to explain how we're all interconnected. Because a lot of people, they are very linear minded, and they need evidence and facts in order to appease the linear mind so that they can move to the heart. And that's how I was, right? So a lot of people that aren't in this world, that aren't really trusting, don't have the faith that we do in this. If you talk to them about channeling or downloads or light language, they could just be like, what the heck is this? Like, you're just making it up. So what I did was I did a deep dive presentation, proving what I honestly feel like I did prove it through this presentation, scientifically, what is actually going on. And I learned so much. So we're going to go into the beginning. I'll just give you a little spoiler alert. The beginning's going to say there was a time that humans could speak to the gods, and then because that's what my mom used to tell me when I was a kid. When I would say, "How the heck was this person speaking to Rama? Rama's a god. How was this person speaking to Krishna? Krishna's a god." And she goes, "The veils were thin back then, and those are the days that humans could speak to the gods." So we're going to go deep into different stories of ancient history of the time that people could speak to the gods, tie that into the cycles of time, which are the cycles of the 26,000 years, and then show that there's actual evidence through our galactic position in our solar system, in our galaxy, that actually is a physical manifestation of the actual cycles of time we're going through. So I'm not going to just show you like the theoretical stuff. I'm going to show you the fact that, well, actually, if you look what's happening to our solar system and where it's been and where it's going, we're actually mirroring this cycle of time. And as we do that, I show you the times on the calendar and the dates and the locations on the world where the veils were the thinnest. And since they were the thinnest during those times, we track to now when the veils were not as thin, and they're obviously getting thinner again because we're having more communication with higher realms. But the whole purpose of that is to kind of give you a backstory of ancient history that will then take us to Egypt and Malta, where we will look at ancient sites and see what the frequencies are there. And then ultimately, the rest of the presentation will be what is the science of channeling? What is the science of downloads? And one thing, I'll just say one thing, for example, entanglement. Entanglement is how all things are basically interconnected in throughout the cosmos, and all information in one subatomic particle exists throughout the whole cosmos. And that's been provable now through science, through quantum physics. And that entanglement energy is actually what is used for receiving downloads. Right. And then there's another one, I'm not going to tell you which it is now, but there's another quantum physics term that is for sending signals to other parts of the universe. So that's a little bit of what
Wow.
I'm going to say.
I'm like, my mind's already blown just by like these for like, 7 minutes of introduction.
Yeah,
And I think it's really beautiful, to actually like present and give people visuals, because so many of us are like, I know myself, for example, I can listen and I can understand really well, but I'm quite a visual learner too. And so
yeah,
I
same.
think it's a really beautiful way to get information across, like literally just having it there, and
Yeah.
and talking and and having something to refer back to. So yeah. Is there anything you would like to share? Anything, with
Hmm.
regards to maybe the energetics or what we're moving into or what you've been through? Because I know from
Yes.
my side, like it's been like, I don't really swear, but the word that comes, it's like it's a shit show
Hmm.
because the energies have been so intense. Not necessarily for me personally, but what I'm seeing collectively, what I'm seeing with my clients. 2025 is a year nine, and so we come into an end before we move into a year one. So yeah, I just want to know, like, if anything's been coming up from your side, what you've been
Yeah.
experiencing.
Yeah. Well, first I'll just say this. The last thing about the presentation is that there's so many people there that are going to be channeling and receiving downloads and sharing their gifts. So I'd like to bring like just a different angle where, like this is kind of like the foundation of everything you're going to experience. And like I said last time as well, it's I like to give you information that you could prove to your family around the dinner table, you know. And I think that's what's going to happen. I feel a lot of people now like moving into what the energy is. I feel like a lot of people here are going to be the teachers. So say that you have a class and you have 200 people in the class, right? Out there, you're doing a class and there's 200 people there. They're actually future teachers,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a way like, "Yo, you're so great, just like me. There is no guru." I literally mean that there isn't billions of people on the planet right now. There's millions that are into this, and you're one of them. And so, therefore, you're actually going to class to be able to teach people, because a lot of industries that are in the world are no longer going to exist pretty soon. A lot of businesses, institutions are collapsing. Before AI, there was a lot going to collapse anyway. Now with AI and the fact that people are prioritizing different things in the world, there's so many different systems and institutions that literally exist for the sake of existing. They don't do anything. If anything, they do nothing for everyone on the planet, or they do like they take us even further down. And so what will be happening soon when we have more time to really focus on connection, relationships, loving ourselves, understanding who we are besides what we do and what we're told that we are, then our consciousness shifts in what we really receive and what we want in the world. And ultimately, when that happens, when we really get to a place of not like needing things to distract us, needing things to be consumed in order for us to basically just go through the motions and get some sort of dopamine boost so that we could feel like okay about living in the world, when that gets like healed or somewhat healed, oh God, who knows what the heck we're going to be creating in this world and what we're capable of. So the energy is extremely intense right now. For me, I've been increasingly feeling much better over the last year. This year, for myself, my confidence levels have increased. I've just stepped more into my power, I feel. And at the same time, there's still a lot of chaos. So stepping into your power and seeing the chaos in the world don't have to be tied together like this. You can become the observer of that chaos, right? And when I see chaos, I see opportunity. When I see institutions collapsing, when I see things that you normally don't see politically now being shown, it's not like this is something new. It's like we're finally seeing behind the veil, right? That you can't hide the shit show that is occurring in the world anymore, and people are more ready now more than ever for something new, right? And I feel a lot of people don't even really know what they want, and and maybe it comes from some sort of level of disconnection, because all we really truly want is to love and be loved and feel connected to people, and have not having that, and then feeling a sense of depression, and then taking in all these external modalities and external things to put a band-aid on top of that. um, and that's why events like this is really important, and what we do is really important, because then we give a people an opportunity to really sit with themselves and to really tune into what they desire, what they want in the world, what they want for themselves. So yes, the world is crazy, but at the same time, this is a part of it. And actually, in my presentation, I'm going to show you the transitionary phase. There's a 200-year transitionary phase between every yuga cycle, every age of humanity. There's four ages. We're we're at like 199 years into it. So we're like literally right at the
Wow.
end. We're in the like last days or decade or years or something like that. And what happens if you look back at the calendar between those years, those 200 years are the most turmoil years for a lot of people. And it's because we've identified with the old system and a new system is trying to come into place. And if since we're so identified with the old system, a lot of people are going kicking and screaming because they're not used to something else, right?
Right.
Imagine a world where all of a sudden the monetary system shifts because of AI or something like that, and people can't have jobs anymore. But you've identified your whole entire well-being, your whole entire identity based on your ability to um, your abilities to have a job or even your ability to acquire a certain amount of money, right? And the systems are changing. So we just need to kind of ride the wave, be the observer, and also know that no matter what happens, as long as we have a roof over our head, we have people to love and people that love us, and we have food, we're going to be okay. All those other things are things that we're told that we won't be okay if we lose. So that's my
Yeah,
two cents.
yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's definitely like a big ego death and release of attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, attachment to identity, attachment to materialistic things, whatever it is. And this is what, I'm seeing also in my clients and in the people and on the day to day. There's really this kind of like you can't take it with you where you're going. Like, and if you
Mm-hmm.
try to take it with you, the universe will clear you from it. So really how gently you navigate and you enter the new year is directly proportionate to how good you are at listening to what the universe is saying to you. Like, are you
Yeah.
able to accept, are you able to surrender, are you able to have compassion, are you able to be guided by your heart center? This is kind of like the questions that you need to be asking yourself before you're moving into the new year, because if stuff isn't going in a positive direction, if things are taking a turn for the worst in your own individual life, then like rather see it as an opportunity, as a lesson, to be able to overcome and move forward. And a little bit of self-assessment, like where do I need to listen more, where do I need to be more present, where do I need to be more grounded? And I
Yeah.
think people like Neil who come and really give us, the scientific back end and backbone of this information are so important, because it's only through that perception switch that you're then able to really anchor into your truest self. Because it's all nice and great when
Yeah.
someone else is telling you, but if you can really, really like believe it and embody it, then
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
when the change occurs from the inside.
hmm Yeah, and speaking on the science element there, like from what I've now come to realize is that there is, obviously there's the feminine side of your brain and your consciousness, and there's the masculine side. It transcends gender because your brain is not your brain, half of your brain isn't actually a female, right? Like the feminine energy, as a lot of people tuning in here already know, it goes beyond that because even before physicality and even before we became humans incarnated with gender, there was still feminine and masculine energy in the world. And when I first started doing events back in not in the world, in the universe, when I started to do my online events back in like 2016, I did my first online event, and I did a conference because I was all about the divine feminine, right? Like how a lot of us are parroting that all the time, right? Like saying divine feminine, and so I did 2 years in a row a divine feminine conference, and the first year I just had women because that was my belief. Divine feminine, no, it's got to be women. The second year I changed and I realized, oh, it's an energy that transcends gender. But then I started realizing, wow, like we've been in such a wounded masculine energy for so long that people don't realize that we actually don't have a divine masculine energy on the world. We're in the wounded masculine, and because it's been so masculine orientated, that we're not realizing it's the return of the divine feminine and the return of the divine masculine, right? And what I mean by that is the like when now let's take it down to metaphysical awareness, metaphysics, feminine creative force, metaphors, explanations, poetic explanations of creation, metaphysics, scientific, masculine energy, linear factual information about the same exact thing, right? For example, the Big Bang. The Big Bang, how do you explain it in masculine scientific way? Well, there was an infinite singularity. The infinite singularity expanded and everything and chaos and all this stuff came from it. Metaphysically, that there was an infinite singularity that contained infinite potential. When the singularity burst, it became countless possibilities that then became all of creation, all expressions of creation. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing, except one is explaining it metaphorically through like almost poetically, and one's not. So the reason why I'm saying this is that's why I feel it's important to bring in the science element too,
Yeah.
because it's we're not moving into a way where we're just becoming creative beings, where the feminine and the masculine energy and the scientific energy has a lot to do with action, the linear action of taking steps. We all have it. We're all got to do stuff. You're doing promotion for this thing. This is like kind of a masculine energy where you're like letting people know about what's going on with this information, with what you're creating. So what I like to do with my presentations is connect our two hemispheres of our brain by providing the scientific information and then showing what the counterpart is in the metaphysical world.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I think it's important to understand, that we both have both, and we both need to learn to balance both sides and parts. And like I know for me in my personal experience, like I'm very much in my masculine when it comes, to my business, my work, and all of
Mhm.
that. And then in my personal private life, I'm more in my feminine. I'll still be creative within my work from my feminine side, but I think it's a very beautiful journey of exploration that we all have with those two aspects and parts of self, because I know that for me there's like parts of myself that I'm like, oh, okay, actually, like I was maybe operating from, another template here that was more in alignment with my masculine. Let me try and operate and tackle this project from more my feminine side and see kind of like how that works and in that
Yeah.
aspect. And I think it's kind of like a dance, finding the balance between the two, and learning to navigate your experience in a way that is aligned and feels truthful to you, but also helps you navigate in a way that it works, because it can be truthful to you, but then it just it doesn't really work on a practical level. And coming to an event like our Galactic Conference that's happening on Tuesday. And I was saying this yesterday as well. You really, the moment you decide to buy that ticket, the moment you decide to anchor into that frequency, you are already making the decision of taking a step higher in your ascension awaken process and journey. It's almost like the moment you buy the ticket, like you anchoring into a high vibrational frequency space and timeline, like your
Mhm.
whole kind of like decisions have now shifted, and now you're okay, that's where you're going. And so you're sending a very clear message to the universe. And for those of you who are just joining now, Neil will be talking at the Galactic Conference. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. We will have a recording available for those of you who buy tickets, but the tickets must be bought before the event ends. We won't have recording or anything available after that. The lovely thing is that it's a very interactive event, so there will be a 10-minute Q&A with each one of the speakers. And yeah, there's a lot of like really, really powerful speakers. We're partnering with Portal to Ascension. We're partnering with Conscious Life Expo. We're also partnering with Galactic Federation of Light Apparel. We're going to have Neil speaking. I'll be speaking. Sarah Bressman Cosme speaking. Debbie Solaris. Tony Khan's will be talking. We're going to have Steve Nobel from the UK. So it's a very beautiful and varied group. And yeah, anything else, Neil, that you would like to add or share maybe?
Yeah, just to kind of close off with that masculine feminine energy. So what I tracked and bringing it back to my presentation, what I tracked was when you go back and see the ancient civilizations that were at that higher point. Some people have thought that we're going into a matriarchal civilization. Some people maybe there was a time where the feminine energy was more in control. But from what I can see from these ancient people is they actually did have the balance of the both. That and a great example, I always like to give this example, is Egypt. The reason why most of the world can't see how amazing the Egyptian like architecture and everything is, they can see, oh yeah, it's great, it's big, but to realize the deep underlying scientific genius of these individuals is because most of the world aren't even working on creating that balance between the two hemispheres. A great example would be for the Thoth, for example, Thoth throughout all of Egypt. You see hieroglyphs of Thoth everywhere, and Thoth always has his staff, right? So, and there's artwork of Thoth. So, what is that? That's the feminine energy of artwork. But do you know what angle Thoth's staff is at? Everywhere in Egypt. 23.5 degrees, the same as the tilt of the Earth's axis. Masculine and feminine energy in one piece of artwork. The Eye of Horus. You got the Eye of Horus there. Beautiful artwork. Wow, it represents the mystery schools. It represents Horus. It represents the third eye. Well, lo and behold, we do a cross intersection of our brain, and it's the exact shape of our actual pineal gland and pituitary gland, masculine and feminine energy. So that's what's occurring. We're moving into that reality, and as we go up and up, that's going to be more of the case. So even I like to say, like, even myself, who is like really out there and like, I can't wait for teleportation devices and all these things to come out. I can't even fathom what level of technology and beauty we're going to be able to see in our near future as our consciousness shifts into this reality, this vibration. So to me, it's really excited what's happening here. Like you said, a lot of people weren't doing this back then. I saw after COVID, I think like things went viral after that, all these like people that, like I like to say this as well, like, the biggest fear in the world is, do you know what it is, Althea?
No, what is it?
You don't know the biggest fear? Okay. The biggest fear in the world is, I'll give you, okay, A, death, B, public speaking. What do you think it is?
Probably public speaking.
Yeah. It's the biggest fear in the freaking world. Like, look at the data shows it, right, from surveys. And the reason why aren't people more scared of death? Well, you're not thinking about death every day, but you're thinking about talking every single freaking moment, right? So it's like, what happened during COVID is death went even further down because no matter what you think about COVID, they had been pushing out that you could die, right? So if you know that you could die and people have been in fear about that whole concept, that's a possibility, then your other fears no longer exist. And what was one of those fears? Public speaking.
Yeah.
So all these freaking people started becoming, speaking the truth. And
that's so
we saw
amazing.
Yeah, we saw an influx of all these individuals that on Instagram now that become viral sensations, people that have like 1 million on YouTube, all stemmed out of the COVID area because they were like, okay, I got nothing to lose. I'm at home and I want to speak my truth, So everything they do backfires is one thing, all it's done is create more awareness and
I
more
started
awakening.
getting a lot of traction during the lockdown as well, because that's what I started doing.
Yeah,
I mean, I started my channel
same
in
here.
2017, but I really like anchored more into it during that period of time because like my other 3D job was organizing big events and
Hmm.
markets. So like that, I mean, wasn't happening. So I've put all my focus on, so yeah, exactly as you said. That's so
Yep.
funny. I think now that you mentioned the public speaking, I think someone had given me this statistic at some point. Maybe it was even you in another conversation that we
Yeah,
had,
maybe.
but yeah, that's so insane, but so wonderful to know as well, that like so many people are now speaking up so much more.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited because I all I see is that more and more people are waking up. Everything that they do, whoever they are, has backfired. I can do a whole presentation on everything they have done in the last 20 years and then show you evidence that it backfired on them. It's almost like the darkness is maybe working for the light,
Yeah, well,
And
yeah, the light will
it's
always
true.
find a way.
And basically it's inevitable. And
Yeah.
that's what my presentation will say as well. We're waking up. How we get there is up to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much, Neil, for coming on. You're looking
My
forward
pleasure.
to seeing you and connecting on the 11/11. So the links will be in all the bios. If you're just catching this now, we will make the recording available. We're going to post this on all our Instagrams. And yeah, if you have any questions, please send us a DM or galacticconference.com. That's where you can find the tickets. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Althea.
for joining.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.